Few days later, screamed at the end. Sorry, panics. Stop it, it hurts, screaming at the top of her lungs. Let me do it, love, I'll do it slowly, okay? Said gently. Okay. Tae is sitting on Van's leg and massaging her back as she lies flat on her stomach. As Van started her boxing arena, she intends to compete in the national championship and subsequently the international competition. Van, can I ask you something? He slips his hand beneath her shirt and strokes her waist. Closed her eyes as she felt her muscles relax. How did you realize that you love me? Thanks to Jungkook. Really? In disbelief, his eyes widened and he rubbed her waist a little too hard. Ah! Looked over her shoulder and tried to hit him in anger. Sorry. Grabbed her hand and shifted her position so she could face him. She wiggled and tried to smack him, but he grabbed her wrist, pinned her to the bed, put his entire body weight on her, and hugged her firmly, leaving her breathless. Yeah, that's cheating, struggling in his embrace. Laughs. That's what you get for putting up with me, baby gorilla, still hugging her tightly. They both started laughing on the old nickname. He used to call her baby gorilla whenever Vine would get angry. Vine, I still can't believe you love me back, and Jungkook made you realize it. I thought he loved, still clinging to her body like a koala. As a friend. He loved me as a friend and I do too. In the past, we misjudged our emotions, but thank goodness we realized our mistake immediately. I loved you, but my ego wouldn't let me acknowledge it. I attempted to suppress my emotions, but my heart told me otherwise. And then Jungkook scolded me and made me realize what I was doing with you was wrong. He was praising you so much that I thought if you had paid him to say those stuff. Faced her while hovering over her. Maybe he fell for my charms too as I shared my snacks with him on the bus. Smirks proudly, lost in his beauty. Quickly pecked her, making her go red and giggled. You're really sweet, said while admiring him with loving eyes. I'm nothing but your thighs. Snuggled in her neck and cuddled her. It all feels like a dream. Inhaled her scent and closed his eyes, feeling delighted. It is a dream. Wake up. What? Raises his head in disbelief and gave her a don't F with me look. Vine just laughed at him, but then she realized something and her expression turned serious. What happened? I need your help. Serious. Are you? I'm at your service, ma'am. Places his hand on his forehead and salutes her as a soldier. Blankly gazed at him, which scared him a little. Left her and sat on the bed like a good boy, while looking down obediently. You are adorable, but right now listen to me carefully. It's a seriously effed up matter. I'm all ears, stared at her in anticipation. We need to help Jungkook. Few days later, Vian entered the wedding hall walking confidently, looking all gorgeous in her black satin dress. She met with the people who knew her and made her way towards the woman. Oh, Vian, you're finally here. Go, Yeri is in the dressing room. She was continuously asking for you. Politely smiled at her. Vian nodded and smiled at the woman before heading to the dressing room. Vian knocked on the door and entered but met with a mess and a crying figure, who hugged her tightly upon seeing her. I can't. Please do something. I can't marry that creep and live without Jungkook. Cried hard, making her look like a hot, messy bride. Pats her on the back. Let's go. Broke the hug and wiped Yeri's tears as Yeri looked at her in confusion. Yeri didn't ask any question and held Vian's hand, ready to go with her. Vian made her way out of the room, but a male figure entered the room before they could exit. Oh, bites his lips looking at both of them. Pretty lady, where are you taking my bride? Vian looked at him in annoyance like, who the F is he? You were right, Yeri. He's a creep. The boy in front of her frowned and came near them, but Vian didn't back off and instead stared at him blankly. I'll fix your attitude after wedding. Glared at scared Yeri, who was standing behind Vian, holding her hand. Oh, look, what a sexy lady. Points towards the left corner of the room. Man looked in the direction Vian was pointing, but screamed and fainted when Vian gave him a hand slice on the neck from the other side. Yeri gasped loudly and covered her mouth with her hands, as this was unexpected, but she laughed when she saw him pass out on the floor. Let's go before I have to animate. They made their way out from the back door and entered a car which was parked right next to the door. Vian sat on the passenger seat and Yeri went to the back seat with her big car. The car started and the driver increased the speed to an incredible level while still driving like a pro. How many brides have you previously driven away from their wedding? More than your forefathers can count. Deep voice. Looked at the person in shock. Taehyung she? You're welcome. Smirks while looking at Yeri from the mirror. Vian shouted and smacked his shoulder. You are just a driver. I was the one who had to fight people and do the main task. Pouted in anger. So what? You are the boxer, not me. What if I start to drive slow? They'll catch us in no time. Started whipping like an old married couple. Slow down. I dare you. Threatening her. As As you wish. He decreased the speed of the car. Yeah! They both shouted at him, making him clinch hard in his seat and increasing the speed of the car immediately. On the other hand, why are you dressing me up, Jimin? Confused. Because we are going to a wedding. Making JK wear a coat. Who is getting married? From me. Huh? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Who is the bride? You'll get to know soon. Smirks. Why everyone is getting married today? Tears slipped from his already red puffy eyes as he remembered that Yeri is getting married today as well. Stop crying, it will ruin the look. Why are you caring about my looks? Snips. You are the groom, not me. Rubbed his face in frustration. Yeah, stop it. I don't want the pics to turn ugly because of you. Grabbed his hand and adjusted his tie. All set. Let's go. Pat his chest, grabbed his hand and dragged him out. Jungkook was surprised to see all the decorations and all their college batchmates. You invited all the youngsters to the wedding? Asked Jimin in surprise. I like it. Yeah, only youngsters are brave enough to attend this kind of wedding. Why? What's wrong with this wedding? Frowns. See yourself. Grabbed JK's shoulder and turned him around. Jungkook's eyes widened and lips parted in shock. From distance, Yeri was approaching him in a wedding gown, while Wine and Tai were walking on her sides. Turned towards Jimin and asked while crying, "You are marrying Yeri?" Jimin face palmed himself, being done with his stupidity. She is not my bride, but yours. Huh? Who is your bride then? Still didn't realize due to shock. Your sister. It's your wedding, not mine. Oh, normally said. What? It's my wedding? I'm getting married to Yeri. Finally, sighed and shook his head. Jungkook ran towards Yeri and they both hugged each other tightly. They both cried and they let go of each other and turned to face the source of the sound. I'll show this ugly crying pic to your future kids. Gave them a thumbs up. You made her run away from her wedding, whispers in shock. You tried to make my bride run away from me, but I made your bride run towards you. You know, I'm an angel. Winked proudly. Laughed and hugged Tai. I'm sorry and thank you so much, Hyung. Coughed loudly to grab their attention. Vine nearly my ex-groom smiled at Vine. Hug Vine. I'm so lucky to have you. I grabbed Yeri by her arm and made her hug Vine and Jungkook who were hugging and hugged them as well while shouting, Jimin, come, we are having a group hug. They all laughed hard on Tae's reckless behavior and shared a bit. Let's get married quickly before they come to stop the wedding. Drag Yeri to the altar. Yeri was thinking about her family, but Jungkook said, we'll work things out with our families afterward, and I swear I'll impress them so much that they will get us remarried. Held her hands and genuinely spoke, making Yeri nod happily. Tae and Vine were in the audience, watching them getting married, when Tae put his hand on Vine's waist and pulled her close to him. I removed him from my way. Finally, you're completely mine. Intensely stared at me. Gently hit him in the stomach with her elbow. What are you? Asked in disbelief. You're Taehyung. They both giggled as Tae pecked her temples, and just like this, they all spent their lives happily while bickering and having fun. But wait. New FF coming soon.